Hi, my name is Shindale, and I just wanted to talk about how my youngest daughter getting diagnosed with cancer affected myself and my family. She was diagnosed in October of 2020. I had taken her to the hospital because she was having severe pain in her abdomen. She was crying and just moving erratically. And I took her to the hospital, a children's hospital, and a doctor saw her and said, well, kids have pain. How long has it been? You know what? Bring her back in like 4 days. I said, okay. How long? I asked him, how long should you usually wait before, you get seen? So he said probably about 5 days. So I said, okay, well, it's already been I think it was probably about 5 days at that time. And he said, well, you can wait a couple more days. I said, okay, no problem. So I brought her back the next day because there was no way that I was waiting. I could tell that she wasn't playing and it was something severe because I could also feel that there was a mass in her abdomen. So we went back the next day and got seen right away because it was the same nurse at the triage that saw us the day before. So they sent us straight through and we saw a different doctor. That doctor felt the mass that I was feeling and sent us for an ultrasound, and I'm not sure what else. My memory's a little foggy on that part. So we did the ultrasound and we had to wait for all the results, which took forever. But it was okay. We had a room in the emergency and we just waited. So when they finally came back, there were several doctors with them and they all introduced themselves as her medical team, and there was an oncology doctor there. At the time, I had zero clue as to what oncology even meant. So then they said something about cancer, and I was like, huh? And they said, yeah, we're pretty sure that the mass that she has is cancer and you'll have to come back to the hospital. I can't remember if it was the next day or the day after. But we went home that day and called a family meeting. And I told everyone. At the time, her father and I had broken up and separated. And I have 3 older kids. At the time, my youngest was, I'm not going to do the math right now, but I'll let you guys know in another video. But I have 3 older kids, 2 girls and a boy, so I had to sit down with them and tell them that their youngest, their baby sister, had cancer, and it was no fun. There were a lot of tears and a lot of questions, and we had no answers at that time. All I knew was that she had cancer and that she was going to have to start treatment right away because her cancer was already at stage 4, and the type of cancer that she had different stages in it as well, and hers was the most severe and the one that was the most likely to come back even after treatment. So that was so difficult, and I don't even know how long it even took me to even wrap my brain around the fact that my kid had cancer. At that time when we got the diagnosis, it was also one of my daughters. It was going to be her birthday in a couple days. So here we are, reeling from the fact that our my daughter and, the sibling has cancer while we're still trying to celebrate my other daughter's birthday. It was so crazy to think. When I look back, I took lots of pictures over the course of the years. My daughter had cancer for 3 years and succumbed to it in January of 2024. So looking back at all the photos that I had taken over the years, it's hard for me to see the pictures and just think, wow, we went through so much in what is relatively a short period of time. And it's no wonder I don't remember a lot of it, because it was information overload, and the stress level of it all was insane. Just insane. Just not only getting the information that, my daughter has cancer, but it's like all the unknowns that come with it. Cancer, yeah, I know what that word means, but neuroblastoma, your adrenal gland, you're getting chemotherapy, it's there's a mass in your abdomen, there's lesions all over there's not lesions, but there's growths all over her body, inside, you can't see, there's so much that you don't know. Where do I have to go in the hospital? What room do I go in? What does treatment look like? What is she gonna have done? Where do we sleep? Where does she stay? There's so much stuff. I mean, the hospital did a really good job. They give you a specific doctor and a specific nurse that really follows you, and a social worker as well. So when in doubt, at least I knew the doctors, most of the time they shift, but at least I knew, whenever we showed up, we were going to see the same nurse, and that her social worker will pop up whenever, if I can talk to her. They also had childcare workers. They had a childcare team that was fantastic. They brought games and toys and crafts for the kids to play with and do. They had, they also had online, you could play bingo online with the other kids that couldn't get together because it was during COVID time, everything was so separate. Oh, COVID, my goodness, the amount of COVID tests this poor kid had to take. And in the beginning, there were always, the thing up your nose. It was incredible. At one point, I had asked the nurse to count, and she had counted, I think it was 50. It's ridiculous. How many she had. But I digress. I'm getting lost in the story. Anyways, so we got diagnosed. My daughter got diagnosed. I say we because it felt like I was in it too, but my daughter got diagnosed, and we went to see her doctor, speak to her to find out all the things that we needed to know. She had to have a biopsy done, so they had to cut her, and they also had to put in a portacath, a little thing that goes underneath the skin where she would get her chemotherapy treatment admitted into. It's kind of like an IV, but just a little thing. Anyways, I wish I had a better explanation or description of it, but a little thing under your skin is really all I can say right now. But we had to get all that done. And then she started chemo. And I remember asking them, is she gonna lose her hair? They said, yeah, she's gonna lose her hair. Probably start maybe a month after or something, after she started treatment. But it started really quickly. And my big brave girl, who was 5 going on 6 at the time, combed her own hair out. So traumatic for me. But it was nothing for her. She really just did it. And it gave me, watching her comb out her hair, gave me some hope, you know, that she was going to be able to handle everything that was coming at her. And she did. She really, really did.